work very strongly with Ukraine's democratic forces. That's what Ukrainian people expect, and that's what they deserve, and that's how Ukraine is going to continue to move forward. All Ukrainians, officials, business leaders, the business community, everyday citizens, they've got to work together to root out corruption that has held this country back for so long. Mr. President, you and I have discussed this before. The Ukrainian people cannot once again have their hopes dashed based on the cancer of corruption. The Orange Revolution occurred and hopes were extremely high. And here we are again because of the sacrifices made 2 years ago. One more chance. One more chance. And it's absolutely critical for Ukraine, in order to be stable and prosperous and part of a secure Europe, to definitely, thoroughly, completely root out the cancer of corruption. The people need to see that in ways that the ways of the past are permanently gone. They no longer exist. That means hard decisions. That means ramping up the pace of reforms, avoidance of past practices, advancing good governance, increasing transparency across the board at every level of the government, and strengthening the rule of law. It means everyone playing by the same rules, from the folks at the bottom to the folks at the very top. And as I told the President in our meeting, as long as you continue to make progress to fight corruption and build a future of opportunity for all Ukraine, the United States will stand with you. We will stand with you. We've already, as the President outlined, made a significant financial commitments, but we also have become your ally around the world, making Ukraine's case for an opportunity for a new day. And today I'm announcing another $190 million, almost $190 million in new assistance to support Ukraine's progress. It brings us to almost $760 million in direct support from the United States to Ukraine since the change in government in 2014, including more than $260 million in security assistance. These new funds, this additional roughly $190 million, will help fight corruption in law enforcement and reform the justice sector. Will attract more investment by streamlining regulations and privatizing state-owned enterprises in a transparent way, increasing Ukraine's capacity for trade, improving access to capital for small and medium-sized enterprises, improving energy security, advancing constitutional reform and support of civil society and an independent media. A strong civil society, as I've said from my first visit to today, and I know the President agrees, a strong civil society is critical to Ukraine's future. There is no democracy in the world that is a true democracy that does not have a strong civil society. One cannot exist without the other. And before my meeting with President Poroshenko, I sat down with reformers, including activists from Ukrainian civil society, to discuss how the United States can be a strong partner with them as well. Of course, we also discussed the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. The United States stands firmly with the people of Ukraine in the face of continued, and I emphasize continued, aggression from Russia and Russian-backed separatists. And we continue to believe that the best way to end the conflict in Donbass is through a diplomatic framework that's laid out in the Minsk agreement. But both sides need to hold up that bargain. Minsk cannot succeed if Russia does not fulfill its commitments, and if President Putin fails to live up to the promises he has repeatedly made to my President, to you, and to the international community. And President Obama, very recently in meetings with President Putin, has conveyed that message directly to President Putin, that all of our international partners are expecting Putin to meet his obligations and commitments. Moscow has to fully implement the Minsk agreement and work constructively with Ukraine to create the conditions for free, fair, and safe local elections to occur in Donbass. And one more thing, let me be absolutely clear. The fact that we are not talking as much every single day about Crimea does not mean in any way we have forgotten that the illegal invasion, and is an invasion by Russia of Crimea, will not be accepted by us or the international community. This attempted annexation is contrary to international law, is wrong, and we will not accept it under any circumstance. And Moscow eventually has to end its occupation of Ukraine's sovereign territory. Crimea is still sovereign territory of Ukraine. I'll be speaking about these issues tomorrow in my address to the Rada, something I am very much looking forward to doing, Mr. President. So I'll end by saying thank you again, Mr. President. Thank you for your warm welcome. You have shown me, as well as your partnership with our country. It is true I've only been here 4 times in 2 years, but I think we may have logged close to 1,000 hours on the telephone. I think I tend to be in more direct conversation for longer periods of time with the President than with my wife. I think they both regret that. But it is important. It is important. We made good progress today, Mr. President. As you said, there's so much more to do. Ukraine is on the cusp here. Ukraine is on the cusp. What happens in the next year is likely to determine the fate of this country for generations. For generations. And the Heavenly Hundred went out there, not for themselves, but for future generations. It's an overwhelming obligation that you have, Mr. President, that the government has, that the Rada has, to step up and make sure that we talk about this period in our collective history books, about that was the beginning of the end of what no one welcomed. And you have a free, prosperous, democratic society because your people are so brave. They have put so much into this. They deserve no less. And I know that is your obligation and objective as well. And we want to help in any way we can. Thank you.
As much, yeah. Maybe they said more than my wife.